Okay, you ready?
Mhm.
Let's get in here. Can you move over a
Yeah.
little more? Let's see if we can both get in. See if we both can get in here at the same time. Oh no.
Ah, there we
Okay, here we
go.
go. All right, everybody. All right, let me move my chair. I was just we're trying to keep the background. All right, everyone. That this. Okay, first of all, I want to introduce you. What is your name?
Erica.
Erica. Erica. It's very interesting how we just started talking about ghosts and witches, and all of a sudden, look at us. Now, I know that most people on YouTube have seen my interviews. My name Jonah. Sorry about that. And we started to put them back out there because the Sound of Freedom movie has woken up a lot of more people. And I just recently met some people who actually really want to start doing something about it, but they have no clue. They just have done everything in their lives and they want to now start doing something. But these people that are out there, this is a message to you. Just can't jump on that bandwagon without doing all the research and hearing from people like us, because we've been in it a lot longer than you have, and we have done our research and we've lived through it.
Yeah.
So I want you guys to know, oh my God, I want to switch this. I want you guys to know that, you know, what we're doing here is that we don't want you to start putting money together and start putting it toward the cabal run organizations to help trafficking victims, because we've done our research and there is not one out there. And that's why we are starting it. It's called Saving Lives in Texas. So contact me if you're planning on trying to do something and raise money. Don't start throwing it around to these agencies because they're all run by the cabal. All they do is reprogram those kids if they are rescued, and reprogram them and say, hey, that was just a dream, you're just bullshit, that didn't happen. So we're the ones who, there are places that actually truly reprogram and you will not find them on the internet. And then there's going to be places where they need to go after. And we're trying to get that together. So the nonprofit is Saving Lives in Texas. But today I'm going to sit here, I'm going to ask questions. And what was your name?
Erica.
Erica. So Erica, like I said, God has this way of bringing me, and I actually kind of like the way that we're going in and out.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting.
It is.
It's spiritual. It's like our souls are here.
Yes.
Anyways, Erica has just, God puts me in the path. I follow the path. And Erica came across, and I don't know what caught us into it, but I talked about her cat, how cats can see ghosts. And I'm like, do you know anything about that? She said, oh, yeah, I used to be a
Wiccan high priestess.
and tell us what that is.
And a Wiccan high priestess, for anyone that doesn't know, is so Wicca is the most common form of American paganism. It just worships a general god and goddess. You name them whatever you want to. It could be from any cult, any god or goddess name. You basically just believe that there's a god or goddess up there and you worship nature. I ran my witches circle before I was saved, and I am now Christian.
And then we got into the next topic.
Yes,
about the child trafficking.
Yes.
And the abuse. So tell us about that part.
So, okay, I was actually born into a aristocratic family from Germany. Well, actually Prussia.
Prussia. And if all of you guys know, I already looked up her ancestor, which I'll tell you in a minute. Sorry about the motorcycles, but because we're outside. I looked it up, and Prussia is now, they listed her ancestor, her great uncle, as Poland. That's because Prussia was taken over by Germany.
He was Manfred von Richthofen, the Red Baron. My grandmother was his sister, Ilse, which my sister is actually named after her. My sister's a dead ringer for my grandmother, and my brother's a dead ringer for Manfred. But when around the time,
Red Baron,
yes, the Red Baron,
look up his name. You got to say it again.
Manfred von Richthofen.
Now that means she does, and we've been talking about it because we're talking about Tammy Reeve bloodline cases of kidnapping. Everybody has to understand there's lots of levels of child kidnapping. And the trafficking and child kidnapping, there is the highest level, which is considered, and the government knows about it. If you watch the Tim Reef,
They use CPS to do it sometimes.
they use the CIA.
CIA,
Goes-
CPS.
Yeah, but CIA is the ones who get the high.
Well, in the
bloodlines.
90s, around the time it was my kids, that's who they used.
Yeah,
was
it's usually
CPS.
CPS. It's usually, but
When there was absolutely no reason.
right. So we're gonna get to that, but let's go back to the royal bloodline.
My father was the oldest son of Baron von Hoffmann, who married Ilse von Richthofen, the inheritor of Manfred von Richthofen's estate, who was the Red Baron. He was also a baron. So my grandmother was actually a baroness. And my grandfather was a German baron named von Hoffmann, Wilhelm.
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 I know that name too. I also had
In fact, I have another one, another famous relative, Maximilian von Hoffmann. He was a general during the Japanese War, Russian-Japanese War. He was actually essentially a commentator and watched it for Germany and gave advice to one side or the other, depending on who his leadership told him to give advice to.
well, and then this is why I say the royal bloodlines, because what happened here in this case is you ended up losing your kids too, right?
I did.
And
I did.
exactly what was the person who was brought in as your handler? Was the one who married your sister,
Yes.
which is what happened always. They use handlers to come in, marry into the family. So tell us about yours. Who did she end up marrying?
So actually, he's a local to here. I will not say his name because my sister is still with him. I can't.
Yes, no, that's fine. You confidentiality.
He told some of his friends when he married her about my family.
You knew already.
And yes,
of
he
course,
did.
He was
He
sent
knew
in
about
as
it.
a handler.
He knew about it, but he wanted to know more about the family. He wanted documentation. He wanted so that he could prove that his son had royal bloodlines. That's what he told my sister.
Right.
Well, some of his friends were going to Germany and they were asking questions because they went over to Königsberg in Poland, which used to be part of East Prussia. And they came back, and what they told my sister was that they were approached by some very large men in suits. They were threatened and were told not to ask any more questions. And not long after that, I lost.
See, and that's another reason why they come in. It's because they have the bloodline. So they can't have you, they need to control all the royal blood.
Yeah.
This is the
And
point.
mine tracks back to Kaiser Wilhelm the First, the Second. My father received an invitation to Princess Diana and Prince Charles's wedding because he was one of their cousins. So yeah, I'm dead connected to the royal bloodlines. Proud to be an American though.
And what happened to your mother?
Mine.
Somebody escaped. Remember the Red Baron? You said they thought.
Oh yeah.
So
My
he's the one who
there is
defected.
actually a family
He
conspiracy
defected.
theory. We don't have any proof, but we think that my uncle actually faked his crash because he was so in love with a Jewish nurse that his father had forbidden him to marry, and he ran. And we have reasons to believe.
No, know they have a list of these people that ran, so they had to track you down.
Well, and part of it is there is actually a question as to whether or not my father may have been my uncle's son. That his sister took him in to make sure that he could inherit while allowing to keep him in, or they may have taken my father from my uncle. I don't know, but there's a lot of suspicion about the fact that my father may actually have been his son. So
yeah, because you have to protect. Did they change his last name?
Yes.
they always have to change your last name. So what did they change?
Well, it would have gone from von Richthofen to von Hoffman. When my father came over here, he changed it to Hoffman.
Okay.
He ran.
He went.
Oh yeah, no, my father spent all of his life with us running. We bounced. We never stayed in any area for more than 6 months. Not until after my dad died. And I have questions about whether or not somebody poisoned my father because he was healthy as an ox and suddenly had a stroke.
Yeah, that's true. They just get rid of it.
And he lingered for a long time. And there were people that kept. Oh, there's a biker rally this weekend.
Oh my God. Just figures. Well, we're gonna make it exciting. You gotta listen to it over bikers.
Well, basically what it came down to is my father got forced into serving during World War II. He served in the Africa Corps for Germany. And he was the Germany hated him. He used to steal stuff from the other commanders.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, my father used to go and steal stuff from the other commanders for his men. And he would do his best to keep his men out of anything other than trying to protect their other countrymen.
Because see, he was born with them.
In fact, yes, in fact, he turned himself over to the British. When they were doing the fighting retreat, my father was caught because he turned himself over because he was trying to get away.
Yeah, because he needed to get away because
you know, and he actually, they caught him while he was in prison in Britain. They caught him.
The Illuminati, Cabal, Jesuits.
My father managed to convince one of the guards that he was attracted to very large women because my father was a 6'6" man, built like a linebacker. Managed to convince them that he liked very, very large women and then charmed the woman into giving her his clothes and he escaped in drag.
Wow, that is so freaking awesome.
He jumped on a ship, convinced the chef to hire him, and then when he got to New York, he walked off the ship with a red onion and a loaf of French bread. And he dropped the Von, changed his first name to one of his middle names because, of course, aristocracy, they have multiple first names and middle names.
Yes.
So my father actually picked one of his middle names. Actually, for a while, he went under one of his American cousins' names, and he joined the Marine Corps over. But he was, yeah, no, we were forever moving because my father was trying to keep us safe.
But they finally got you.
Yeah, it was after my
they
dad
ended
had
up
died.
Getting you, and they got
my kids.
And you guys were not aware of this.
No, no, not at all. My father never told us why we were
Should
running.
have. See, that's the.
I haven't found it out until I started researching
all
myself.
of us have never been told our true history or ancestry, and that I think should change because if people have bloodlines,
Yeah,
they should really know about them.
yeah,
And they shouldn't wait because what happens is if they're not around, they should have told you why they're running. You would have known to be careful on who you get married. Especially with that guy here locally marrying your sister, asking all those freaking questions. What did he say? Oh, I want to get to know you better.
Yeah.
He wanted proof. He should have said none
well,
of your
he wanted proof so that the paperwork so that he could prove to people when he said that his son had noble bloodlines, his son by her, that it was the truth and that he wasn't alive.
So in other words, he's just a low level because he wanted his.
I don't think he even knows what he's involved
No,
with.
he doesn't. And what this is even more dangerous.
Yeah,
the ones that don't know what's going on, they hear about it, so they try to find someone so they can get their foot in the door, so they can join the big boy, the New World Order.
Yeah, I would hope that my brother-in-law wouldn't do something like that, but he probably would.
Oh yes, that's exactly right.
I don't know. Yes, I don't know if he knows he's connected, but I think it's real funny that my kids got jerked when I hadn't done anything to my kids. There was no CPS cases, anything like that. Suddenly I've got a CPS worker on my door telling me, I've got all these people complaining about my kids. They did x-rays of my kids. There was nothing wrong with any of my children, and they still removed them from me. They handed them over to my ex-husband's family. My ex-husband's family is steeped in them, in with that group. So it wasn't just my brother-in-law.
It was you too. They married into you too. They needed to
I
marry
didn't
both
even know it at the
sisters. You're-
time.
Yep. Do you realize they do go by Jewish? The kids are the blood of the mother,
Yep. And
not
I
the father.
and I do have
You-
Jewish blood from my father's side of the family.
Yeah, and so another thing is that everyone needs to know that they use CPS to get you, and you know,
Yes.
it was him who called you in. And you, and how old were they?
My oldest was 6, my middle child was 5, and my son was 8 months old.
And that's usually what I said. If you listen to all the other mothers, always they take the kids before they're 6, right up to 6 years old, because that is the years that they can reprogram them, abuse them, and traumatize them.
Ugh, and you have no idea what my kids are going through now that I'm back in their lives. It has been just endless battles.
Oh yeah, tell us about the symptoms. What you
Oh God. Let's see. My oldest is prone to narcissistic outbursts. She
Yes.
has no emotions towards her own children. In fact, fortunately, we were able to step in when they tried to remove her children. My family's got them. People I trust. People I know aren't involved in
But they turn narcissistic, right?
it.
Because my
Narcissistic,
yeah.
abusive. She got involved with a guy who installed a lock on the inside of her 4-year-old daughter's bedroom door so that he could lock the door while he was in there with her.
Sexually
He
abusing.
sexually molested my grandson to the point that my grandson's rectum was bleeding, and he had beat him bad enough that he had handprints and blood coming out of his ears. And I got pictures of this from my daughter.
Okay, no, we're gonna stop now. We don't want this. All right, guys, you get in the picture. But I just want to let you know that she went from being the reason why I asked her, I'm like, she said now she's a Christian.
Yes.
Show your arm. She
John
now-
3:16.
And the thing is that because of what happened to her, you were abused too.
Yeah. I actually was a victim of childhood molestation as well, because that's what they do to keep us where they want us, how they want us, so that they can force us to do whatever they want, so that we are so denigrated in our own morals that we would just hand our children to them.
You are so good at saying this. Because you know how many times we try to explain something like this, and I think that everybody that's
Years of studying psychology and doing research into all of this and talking to people has allowed me to do this. And that's why when you told me what you do, I was like, how can I help? Because I've been through that. My family has been affected by this. I know other people that have been affected by this, and it's heartbreaking. And somebody has got to do something.
Well, you know, there are people out there, and that's why I'm doing this interview so they can understand the depth. It is not just strangers driving by kidnapping kids.
No,
These
it's
are-
not.
You get
Family
kidnapped,
members.
It's family. It's like that.
Family, friends, people you thought you could trust.
And that's the point. They need to know
Yes.
that it is not strangers.
No,
it is the people
it's
that are
not.
closest to you that are sexually abusing you and kidnapping you and trafficking you. So that is the reason
Yeah.
why I want this message very clear that is not strangers.
No,
It
it's
is
not.
actual family. And that's why it's so much more difficult to get the kids back.
Yes, because 9 times out of 10, that relative ends up with them.
Yeah.
We got real lucky. Thank God. My father-in-law is a God-fearing man. I trust him. I have looked into his background. I have
Good,
made
so you
sure.
start learning to do
Oh,
research.
yes. I researched my husband once I realized everything that was going on.
Yeah.
When I met my current husband, who I've been with for 20 years, I researched into his family. No royal bloodlines at all, no connection whatsoever. They actually help fight things like this.
Oh my God, this is even better.
This is definitely God putting us together.
Yeah. And the reason why you went into witchery is because of all this, right?
Yeah.
And then you also go down
I
this
was
path
angry. You get angry at God when you suffer these things because you think it's his fault.
Right.
Especially when you're
You
a
got a
child.
butterfly going on your lips.
I can see that. Especially when you're a child and you have no understanding that it's not God, it's the people around you. And I got so angry at
Got
God.
the hand of God just showing up.
I got so angry with God because I thought he had abandoned me, that he wouldn't protect me. I felt like a lot of people feel, and you know what? He's out there screaming for us to listen. For those of us who just walk by not paying attention, he's screaming for us to listen.
That's wonderful words, and I hope that's resonating with all of you out there because he is. Yeah, and I know those kids that are, they're my sons. They're messed up.
My
I also
girls
had bloods in their stool, blood and an injury on his back. Couldn't walk. Like, I mean, come on. And I found those pornographic photos
oh
of my
God.
sons. And they hid it in the court. They put it under seal. I have living freaking
That's what
proof.
they did with this guy that did this to my grandkids.
Yeah,
They were trying to
they
take
would put it
them.
under seal.
They freaking, this man has molested other children.
Yeah, and I found
And
pictures of other
his
kids'
family was
children.
rich, involved with the same people.
It's money,
And
money, money. See,
yeah,
money pays
and
for the
I
judge.
hate to say it,
You want an order, you go to court, you gotta have money to pay the judge off.
I hate to say it, be real
No
careful.
justice.
Be real careful about anybody who says they're Mormon. They are steeped in it.
Yes.
And he comes from Mormons.
Yeah.
They are huge on abusing their children.
Yes, the Mormons are. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
they are part of that.
Yeah.
So
But because of this, you went into the witchery, and then suddenly, what saved you?
my husband.
How did he save you?
Okay,
So
so
you was a high level freaking priestess, man.
I was.
You had
And
your own order and everything.
I did. I had my own circle of witches. Actually, I had a couple of circles that I typically ran. I really don't talk too much about my Wiccan past being a Christian because that is a life I am head to.
That the
But
process you went
my
from that
my husband
high
walked
level
into my life
to
at a point when I almost killed myself because of what I was remembering.
oh,
Things that I didn't remember. I suddenly started remembering and I wanted to kill myself. And God brought him into my life, and he
at the
was
same
had
time
a
he brought
completely
all that memory.
and he brought a man to me with a completely clean background who is one of the most righteous men I have ever met, and his family fights against stuff like this, and he believed me when I told him.
Wow, that's amazing. You know how many guys I've met over the years? They think
Don't believe it. They
I'm
think you're
cuckoo.
nuts.
They think I'm
They
cuckoo.
think you're insane.
Cuckoo. I'm cocoa.
You're
Puffs.
not insane. You're being gaslit.
Yes. Yep. Well, guys, I'm going to end this because we're going to have more interviews with her. But you guys, this is the point, what I'm saying to all you people out there that all of a sudden have seen the Sound of Freedom and you want to now start throwing your money at all these organizations that you Google.
Be careful.
Don't do it. Talk to me first. We vetted them all. You're not just going to throw money back at the people who are just keeping it hidden.
Yeah. Because there are a lot of organizations out there. I haven't researched all of them like my friend here, but there are a lot of organizations out there that I for sure know that I've researched that I can confirm are bad. They will take those children, they will take your money, they will take those children and they will brainwash them. They will convince them it didn't happen. They will gaslight you. They will gaslight your kids. Be careful.
Okay, that was the message I was trying to convey. Thank you so much for doing this.
Okay.
Guys, continue to follow and subscribe because it's only going to get better.
Anything to help.
Ciao.